Good morning, everyone. Hi, it is Stacy. We are loving my veteran, and this is walking in my shoes. This morning, lots going on. I wanted to say good morning. Get some coffee in. Coffee's always good. Coffee's one of my favorite things ever. Coffee. I'm actually kind of on time this morning. That's a whole new theory for me. So, I'll give everybody a minute or two to get here. Let me see what time this little room says. Sorry. All right. So, good morning. Lots going on, lots and lots and lots going on. We've had such a great. So, you don't have to miss coffee, Jenny. You're allowed to have coffee now. We've had such great response to the boot camp class. Please email me today if you have not signed up for boot camp because it is once a week. It is on Tuesdays. It begins September 14th. The letters and the applications are going out today, and that class is almost full. So we're really excited about that. Good morning, Meredith. Jen can finally have her coffee with us. So please make sure if you have not done that, and whoever signs up for boot camp is going to be the first person to get the download, the first group of people to get the download of the new book we're writing, which is Walking in My Shoes Boot Camp for Spouses and Families of Veterans with PTSD. So we're really, really excited. Meredith, just send us an email to lovingmyveteran@gmail.com and put in the subject line boot camp, and I'm sending those out probably within the hour after this is over. So it is really important that you take that class. If you want to take that class, that you get signed up for it. What else do we have? Motivational One Monday was great for us. Carl and I got so much done. We are so excited for what we got accomplished. So things are coming along on our end for the good things. But let me tell you, so last night we were tired. We got home. A bunch of stuff had been done. A bunch of stuff had been taken off our list. And have y'all ever had these moments with your veteran where they say something to you and you're like, really? And or they do something and you're like, really? And you just want to go like, where did this come from? Why are you saying this? And how did it come to be? So I think we all have these really moments that you're like, what in the name of God's earth did you say? So we're sitting there on the couch last night, and he says to me, I told you I need reading glasses. And I'm like, okay. Um, we're in Walmart all the time. Why didn't you pick up a pair? And he goes, because I always want to put you first. And I was like, really? How is it my fault? I mean, like, reading glasses come in 9,000 different strengths. How is it my fault you didn't get a pair of reading glasses? And what would you like me to do? Go pick them out? Because you're really picky about what you wear anyway. And I'm supposed to go pick them out. And when you get into Walmart, you're so concerned with what I need and that I'm happy that you don't get reading glasses. Really? And so that comes up in the middle of a deep conversation when we're kind of not really arguing, but we are kind of, thank you, Meredith, we all kind of arguing and or disagreeing, or we're having this great discussion, and he says to me, I need reading glasses. And I'm like, okay, so why didn't you get a pair? Because I want to take care of you first. I always put you first. And I'm like, really? Where did that come from? Y'all, they get the most random thoughts. I don't know about your veteran, but my veteran gets the most random thoughts that just pop out of nowhere. They completely and totally just come out of nowhere. And you just want to shake your head like, have you lost your mind? Have you lost your mind? And so it drives me crazy. And so I call it my really moment. And you don't even know how to navigate that. I just literally do not know how to navigate that. So let me put it this way. I was literally at a loss for words when he said that last night. I was like, the hell did that come from? And are you kidding me? So can you imagine me being at a loss for words? It is, you're right, and it is always at the most inappropriate time. I mean, always at the most inappropriate time. And so you just want to go, really? I mean, where's this coming from? So what I found that people ask me, how did you do it? How do you have a successful relationship? How do you have a good relationship? How are things going for you? How did you turn things around? People ask me that all the time. They're like, how did you do it? How did you do it? How did you do it? The first thing I did, I'm telling you, I was lost. I cried. I thought I was destined to this lifestyle that I wasn't destined to. I knew I loved him, but I didn't know if I could live with him kind of moment. And it was literally talking. I got involved and started looking at symptoms and groups and support and whatever. And I found initially I had great support. Everybody felt crappy like I did. And then that just made me feel more crappy. So I was like, well, this isn't working for me. So I started to understand PTSD a little more. And I'm a paramedic, right? So I've dealt with it for a long time in an emergency situation. I kind of thought I knew it all. I didn't know squat. So that was another really moment. But it was literally talking to Carl and Jeremy. Good morning. Um, Good morning, Cece. You're going to go on your way home? Yay, yay. So I was like, where did this come from? But when I talked to them, their insight was so phenomenal. And then I realized that it wasn't PTSD alone. There was so much more that came with this. It's not just PTSD. And we tend to blame everything. Good morning, Nakia. We tend to blame everything on PTSD because it's simple. It's simple. I mean, Nakia, I can't imagine her life. Her life had to be great when you have a twin sister. I'm not sure if it's great or bad. But when somebody says, did you do it? Somebody be like, no, she did it, because you're like twin sisters. How you going to know, right? So it's easy to blame somebody else. And so our really moments just kind of just sit there. But when I started to talk to Carl and Jeremy, I realized that I didn't understand how a veteran's mind worked and how their PTSD affected their life. So these really moments that we have, these random really moments that we have, you're like, where the hell do they come from? What happens is they get fixated on something. Almost all of our veterans get fixated on something. Okay, they have a mission, which usually is to protect us. We just don't always see it. But they get fixated on stuff. Completely and totally fixated on it. And so then randomly, out of a clear blue, this thing that they've been fixated on forever comes up, and you're like, where the heck did that come from? And that's where that really moment begins, because they just put it out there. And then we're like, we tend to, and this is where the cycle starts to really break down all the way across the board. Then we tend to say, what are you talking about? And why are we talking about that now? And I want to do this, and we need to do this and this. So you push them off, and then you don't understand why they shut down. So again, we're to another really moment. They want you to they want to talk. You want to talk to them. You've asked them to communicate how they feel. They tell you how they feel. You don't have time for how they feel. And so in your head, you're going, really? You try to blow them off or shut them down, right? And now they feel like they can't talk to you. So now they're saying really back to you in their own head. And that is where these really moments come from. And it wasn't until I talked to Carl and Jeremy that I started to understand when you have to see it from their perspective. And then Michelle and I had a conversation this morning. And we get up at some ungodly hour of the morning for me, and I know it's ungodly for her. And we talk about this stuff. And we're like, they make this list, they have this plan, everything is good, and then they check out, right? And you're like, really? We haven't gotten anything accomplished. And then they come to you like 5 days later or 2 weeks later and say, well, we should have done this. Well, we tried to do this 3 weeks ago, but you didn't want to participate in it 3 weeks ago. And so now you're back to this really moment. And it happens a lot. Because it has to do with the way they process things and seeing things from their perspective and their side. How often, this is another question that came into being, how often has your veteran said, I don't care about this? Okay? So you make a comment about, um, yeah, we need to stop. So how often does your veteran say, I don't care about this? So like you've made a good home, you've got this, you know, I'm not talking about like the quality of the house, but you got a nice bed and you've got a roof over your head and you've got this and this and this and you've kind of done your thing. And then they say, well, I don't care if I sleep in a tent out in the woods. And that, again, a new, really moment. I don't care if I sleep in a tent out in the woods. And I'm like, really? Really? Have you lost your mind? We worked hard for this. We've acquired this. This is what we have. And now you don't give two squats whether or not we have it because you just as soon sleep out in the woods. And it becomes very hurtful. And we don't get it and we don't understand it. So it becomes another really moment. And then again, we try to shut them up or we say something like, and I do this, I'm like, how can you say that? We have a nice bed here and this is our home and this is where I want to sleep with you. And then you tell me you just as soon sleep in a tent in the woods. Well, let me explain. I'm not sleeping in a tent in the woods ever. Okay, ever. It's just not going to happen. Well, I won't say ever, but because things could always go to hell. But I'm not going to make a willing choice to sleep in a tent in the woods. It's not going to be like, oh, Stacy's going to go camping and we're going to go pop up a tent and sleep in the woods. And he didn't even care if he has a tent, right? He's content to take his blanket and just go curl up on the leaves somewhere. I'm not going to do that. So then the next really moment appears in your life. And you're like, okay, now what? Think about where they've been. Think about what they've done. Think about the fact that when they get uncomfortable in the real world, they go back to the comfort they knew in the military world. Okay, so when they are uncomfortable in the real world, they go back to the military world that they were uncomfortable and that they are comfortable with. They're comfortable with that feeling. It's been trained into them. It's what they think. It's how they process life. It's what they do. And we don't see it because we've never been there. We've never been in that system. We don't comprehend this. So the really moments go back and this checking out that they do, they just do it. They don't have this. They don't get it. They don't understand the urgency all the time. They don't understand the accountability of time. They don't get that and they kind of check out and they kind of do their thing and then we're running around like a chicken with no head or we decided we're not going to enable anymore and we don't do it and then a week later they're like, why didn't we accomplish this? And again, you're like, really? Really? Yeah, that fixation is exactly what it is, Sarah. When they shut down and push away till they're okay again, he's more comfortable there. He's more comfortable there. Because let me tell you what happens in the military world. In the military world, again, start looking at things sometimes from their military world. They are told what to do, when to do it, how to do it, what their mission is, what their target is, whatever their stuff is. They're told exactly what they're going to need to accomplish it, and they have it. Now, all of a sudden, you've taken them out of that regimen and you've put them into a relationship where they are now interacting with somebody else on a regular basis that we have our system, they have their system. You're trying to merge the systems together, no matter how long you've been with them. And so now they get uncomfortable because we all get uncomfortable in life and they don't know how to deal with it well. So they check out, push you away, get in their head, whatever word you want to call it. They do that because it is a place of comfort for them, because we are now living in a society and in a world for them where they don't have to make that decision. They have the ability to make decisions, and prior to that, it had all been taken away from them. So when your brain starts to think this way, when you kind of comprehend where they're coming from, it doesn't make the really question go away anymore. It just makes you aware that it's there, and then there's ways to deal with it. When he got fixated on the glasses last night, I listened. I may have listened to it for 20 minutes. The Song That Never Ends theory. I may have heard it for 20 minutes, but you know what? I listened to it. So he became heard. That was a difference. So today, we're going to ride up the road, pick up the man a pair of reading glasses, and he's going to say, well, I know, nope. You wanted them. We're going to get this and take it off our list. It's little things like that that make them understand that you care. Okay, it is going to help bring that really moments down to a manageable thing because they have them. And you're like, really? Where the hell did that come from? So that is a big part. You have to understand they are comfortable being told what to do, when, not by us, by the way. Okay, not by us, by the way, because we can't be in both roles. So people ask that. They're like, well, if he's used to the military and I tell him what to do, isn't that kind of like an order? And doesn't he kind of just need to follow that order? No, because he doesn't see you as the commanding officer. He doesn't see you as his boss. He doesn't see you as the person above him. That isn't what he sees when he sees you, because one minute you might be that, and the next minute you might be his lover, or the next minute you might be his friend, or the next minute you're having an interaction, and one day you ask him to make a decision, and one day you make a decision, or one minute he makes one, and one minute you make one. And so that role isn't defined, so they don't see you that way. So when people say, well, I don't understand that he took orders in the military. How come he can't take them from me? Because he doesn't see you that way. Because that's not who you are. You're his partner, and there's a big difference. And sometimes these really moments, and this is hard for us. This is hard for us. This is super hard for us. Let's put this out here. Sometimes we have to get off of our mission and just enjoy them. Sometimes we have to get off of our mission and just enjoy them. Y'all remember when you first started going out with your veteran, okay? When you first started dating, and we all talk about that honeymoon phase, that phase where they were more spontaneous, right? And Sarah, they do that. They do that. It's just one of those things they do. They don't understand. It's instant gratification for them. It just happens. Okay, but remember the honeymoon phase we were all in? We've all been in there. It was a lot of love, a lot of physical. It was a lot of little things. There was just a lot of the intimacy. And that's not just a veteran thing. That's with everybody. Well, you get out of that honeymoon phase. Because in the real world, when you have a relationship with somebody, you have things to accomplish, right? You have bills that have to be paid. You've got things that need to be done. You need to do all of these things that are part of the real world, the grown-up world that we live in, okay? And we get so focused on it because we need to get it done, and we know it needs to be done because it's part of the grown-up world, or the world that we live in, the non-military, civilian, grown-up world that we live in today. And so we have all these things that need to be accomplished. And, getting your veterans sometimes to engage is hard. So we always have a list, right? I need you to do this and this and this, and we need this objective and that objective and that objective. And we're always asking them to do something. We all do it. Well, most of us do it. Most of us ask them to do something. When's the last time you just had fun? When's the last time you just put something to the side and said, you know what, this doesn't matter today. So what if you don't have this piece of paper? Or so what if we haven't done this? Let's just have a day where we just do us again. Let's just have a day where there is no pressure. Let's just have that honeymoon phase again for a day. Because if all you do is set expectations and set projects and set things and you don't accomplish them, or you miss them, or you miss that deadline, or they miss that deadline, then what happens? What happens is they become frustrated and angry and shut down because they feel like they fail. Right? So that's what happens. And I'll give you another example. And y'all, I'm not talking about big stuff, okay? I'm not talking about like massive stuff. I'm talking about little stuff. So I am a bathtub fiend. I love to take a bath. It is my getaway. Well, the house right now doesn't have one. It has a shower. And so we were at Walmart and I wanted a hot tub, like a blow up hot tub, right? So I could just sit and soak my bones. Well, I looked at them online and they were very expensive. Long story short, we were in hot tub. In Walmart, they had one that was the last one they had and they had marked it down for the end of the season. Got a heck of a deal, brought it home. It sat in the box. Of course, we went to my mom's, so it sat in the box even longer. And I'm an instant gratification person. Okay, I want it like up and hot today, right now, in 5 minutes. That's who I am. So anyway, we got it finally done and put up yesterday. We had a lot to do yesterday morning. So we get it put up yesterday, just to get it full, and the rain comes. Got the cover on it, the rain comes. Well, the heater's not only heating it but so much, and of course it says in the directions it's going to take it 12 hours. So he's feeling like, because I said something about wanting to get it, and I would go out and check on the temperature all the time, he said something about he felt like he had failed. And I'm like, really? It was going to take 12 hours regardless. And if we would have put it up at 9 o'clock in the morning, or even at 10 o'clock in the morning, by 10 o'clock last night, it was storming like there was no tomorrow, and I wasn't going to get in it in a lightning storm anyway. But he felt like a failure because we had this expectation that couldn't get met or didn't get met, so he feels like a failure. And then he tells me that, like, I wanted to do this for you and I let you down. And I'm like, really? We all have them. We all have them. So take time sometimes and just have moments where there's no expectations. Just have moments where there's nothing. Just have moments where it may be sitting on the couch. Just have moments that there is no expectation and find them. Because when you find them, you make a connection. How often, and I see it all the time, do spouses say, I feel like his roommate? I feel like their roommate. I don't feel the love. I don't feel the relationship. We don't have the sex. We don't do this. We don't do that. How often do we all say that? But how often are we part of that too? How often do we love on them? Without giving them expectations, without setting something they have to do, without a guideline, without a due date, without anything, do we just say, let's just be us right here in the moment? How often do we say that? How often do we do that? Because if you don't, you end up in those really moments like that. You end up in those really moments where they feel like they failed. Remember, failure of any kind is not an option for a combat veteran, for a warfighter, period. Failure of any kind is not an option for them. They feel like somebody's going to die, or they're going to get killed, or they're going to let their command down, or they're not going to achieve their mission. So any form of failure to them is letting somebody down. Any form. So even if it is minute, where we don't, so what? It didn't get hot. It was nice at 5:30 this morning. Who cares that it didn't get hot last night? I didn't care. He did. Because he saw it as a failure. Because he saw it as letting me down. And we got into it. Not like screaming, yelling, but now we get into things and it's like this really long conversation. We got into it and that conversation lasted 30 minutes. And I'm like, but it's raining. I couldn't get it in anyway. But I let you down because it's something you really, really wanted. Right? So we don't always see it that way. We don't always see things that way. We don't think about their brain and their mindset. Okay, so when you start to think about their mindset and you think about the way they do things, the warfighter mindset, not the PTSD mindset, let's just get in the warfighter mindset. When we start to do that and we start to say these things and we start to act this way and we start to see it this way, guess what happens? We have a new perspective. And when you have a new perspective, you have better conversation. Sarah, you can't feel like you let him down because his shirt wasn't dry. They also need to learn to get over it. But that's the same way they feel when they don't have something you want either. It's that moment of letdown. Okay? It's that moment of letdown. And those are the things that we forget. Those are the things that we don't understand. Those are those moments that we would be able to sit in there and stop saying, really? If we understood a little more. And I know that sounds like I'm making an excuse for them. I'm not making an excuse for them because let me tell you, right now, there is no excuses for bad behavior. Well, and I hate to use bad behavior. That's such a bad word. But there's no excuses for that. We don't make excuses. Well, why did you do this? Why did this happen? Why did that happen? We don't make excuses for that. I got to tell this girl, okay. Sorry. We don't make excuses for that. We don't enable that. We don't allow that to control our lives, neither one of us, because I come with my own set of baggage and my own set of explosions and my own set of stuff. We hold each other accountable. In the words of Carl, we call each other out. And he'll tell me, you don't like it when I call you out. Nope, I don't. And he doesn't like it when I call him out. But we've learned to have conversations where we're not exploding. We may not agree and we may be madder than hell at each other, but we're not exploding. And that's okay. That's called communication. Can I just say this again? Not agreeing and not seeing things from the same mindset and telling the other how you feel, even if it is calling the other one out. And I don't mean pointing out every flaw, but how, again, it's not about what they did. It's about how that action made you feel. Okay, so you can't control what they did or said. You can only deal with how it made you feel. And a lot of times Carl will say, I'm sorry, I can't help that. That's on you. That's the way you took it. And he's right, but I can communicate how it made me feel. And when I do that, sometimes he thinks again before he says that. I didn't say you were wrong. What I said was, when you said or did this, I felt this, or I heard this. And when you start to understand that that is okay, it is okay to disagree. Yes, there you go. Did the bills, no arguments or confusion. Babe, I'm proud of us. Proud of us. See, when we call each other out individually, When we call each other out individually, we're just pointing fingers at each other. And that is what creates those really moments. Really? You did this? Okay, so yes, he was mad about the freaking reading glasses. Or he felt hurt about the reading glasses. And I really wanted to say, really? But I did kind of say it, just not in those words. I was like, but hon, we go to Walmart all the time. Why didn't you? Because I always put you first. And I said, well, let me tell you how that makes me feel. That makes me feel like doo-doo because it makes me feel like I am being self-centered and only taking care of myself when you had something you needed. And he said, but that's not how I meant it. How I meant it is that you are my priority. Now see how that totally changed? Just those words totally changed when I said, this is how it made, when you just said that, this is how it made me feel. And it totally changed. Where before, I would have, okay, I'm just going to tell you now, I would have stormed out of the house, driven to Walmart and prayed to God I didn't get a ticket because I would have been slinging stuff everywhere. I would have gone into Walmart and I would have bought one of every strength reading glasses, came home and threw them on the table and says, here, which one do you effing want? That's what I would have done. I'm not doing it now. See, and those are those victories and those are those moments. We still have the same arguments. We just do them differently. And it's okay to have an argument. It's okay not to agree. We all have different personalities. Our spouses and us have different personalities. We all have different baggages. We all have different pasts. How people interpret it all comes from everywhere else. So those really moments that we have come from our interpretation. And the ones they have comes from theirs. But yes, there is really moments. Yes, we don't know where things come from sometimes. Yes, we need to pay attention and listen. Yes, we need to think about their mindset and how they're programmed and their backstory, just like we have our own. And now Carl is aware and he listens to it sometimes. So there's a lot, but it's taken us a while to get there. It didn't happen overnight. It happened one step at a time. One step at a time is what got us to that point. You're gonna have really moments. Just how do you deal with them? Because that's the truth. Where are you going from here? How do you look at those moments? Then when you start to see that, all of a sudden things start to make sense and you're like, holy crap, I can do this. Holy crap, I can do this. We can go forward. We can do these things together. When's the last time you had a honeymoon phase? And I'm not talking about sex in the bed honeymoon phase. I'm talking about that being in each other's presence where nothing else mattered at that one given time but the other person. When did you have that last moment? When was that moment for you? And to be honest, I can tell you it's been a long time for us. And I can tell. So that's where we are. Tomorrow we'll probably talk a little bit more about how to create that intimate relationship without having to have the sex part, because I know everybody's like, oh, I want to have sex, I want to have sex. We need to learn to have that loving intimacy. And how do you connect that with somebody who disconnects all the time? There's ways, and it works. And it works. Don't forget, I'm going to get off of here, so don't forget that we have boot camp. Sign up if you have not. I have got the email ready to go out. I'm doing the applications, the last of the applications now. They will go out. That is a limited seating event. We have limited it to 70, and I think we talked last night about taking it to 75, and I think there's like 13 or 14 seats left. So please send that email. and people who don't do the application in a timely manner, then we'll take it to the next person. So please make sure you do that email. Send it to lovingmyveteran@gmail.com. Put in the subject line boot camp. I will respond with all of the information that you need. It is a class. It is once a week. It is on Tuesday. So please be prepared to do the work because it is a class. All right, I am out of here today. I am Stacy. This has been Walking in My Shoes. We are Loving My Veteran. Y'all have a blessed day. Bye.